Ever pondered about the origins of the largest country in the world? How did Russia come to be? Let's venture back in time to the 9th century. Picture a vast and diverse landscape, home to a group of tribes collectively known as the East Slavs. These tribes, scattered across the land, started to consolidate, giving birth to a federation of territories known as Kievan Rus. This was the first form of a unified Slavic state, a beacon of culture and trade that stretched from the Baltic Sea in the north to the Black Sea in the south. The Kievan Rus' era was a time of relative peace and prosperity. It was during this period that the East Slavs were introduced to Christianity by Byzantine missionaries, leading to the adoption of Orthodox Christianity as the state religion in the 10th century. This was a pivotal point in the formation of a unique Russian culture, heavily influenced by the Orthodox Church. Yet, the unity of Kievan Rus was not to last. In the 13th century, the Mongols, a warrior nation from the east, swept across the Eurasian landmass. The Mongol invasion was a time of turmoil and change, resulting in the fall of Kievan Rus and the beginning of the Mongol yoke that lasted for more than 2 centuries. But adversity often breeds resilience. Amidst the Mongol domination, a small trading outpost known as Moscow began to flourish. Positioned at the crossroads of important trade routes, Moscow grew in wealth and influence. Its princes cleverly balanced their allegiance to the Mongol Khans with their ambition for independence. Over time, Moscow transformed into a vital cultural center, attracting scholars, artists, and craftsmen from across the region. The rise of Moscow signaled the end of the Mongol yoke and the beginning of a new era. The city's leaders, now styling themselves as the Tsars, aimed to unite the fragmented Russian lands under their rule. They laid the foundation for what would later become the Russian state. And thus, from the ashes of the Mongol invasion, Moscow rose, setting the stage for the birth of the Russian state. But how did Russia transform from a collection of principalities into a tsardom, you might ask? Well, it's a story of power, intrigue, and a relentless quest for centralization. In the 15th century, the Duchy of Moscow, under the rule of Ivan III, began to emerge as the primary force among the Russian principalities. Ivan III, often hailed as Ivan the Great, embarked on a mission to consolidate power. Through strategic marriages, military conquest, and shrewd diplomacy, he brought a vast expanse of territory under his control. Now, with the stage set, enter Ivan IV, or as history remembers him, Ivan the Terrible. Crowned as the first Tsar of Russia in 1547, Ivan IV took centralization to a whole new level. His reign was marked by a series of reforms aimed at strengthening the central authority, but it was also a time of terror and purges, earning him his infamous nickname. The Tsardom of Russia, however, was not without its share of turbulence. Following Ivan IV's death, Russia entered a period known as the Time of Troubles. This was a chaotic era filled with power struggles, famine, and foreign invasion. The stability of the Tsardom was seriously threatened, but as the dust settled, a new dynasty took the reins. The Romanovs came to power in 1613, marking the end of the Time of Troubles. For over 3 centuries, the Romanov dynasty would rule Russia, leading it through periods of great change and development. Despite the tumultuous journey, the establishment of the Tsardom was a pivotal point in Russian history. It not only marked the end of the fragmented principalities, but also laid the groundwork for a centralized state. The Tsardom, despite its turbulence, set a strong foundation for the Russia we know today. From a Tsardom to an empire, how did Russia expand its reach? Right. Let's dive into the era when Russia truly began to flex its muscles on the global stage. First, let's talk about the man who transformed Russia into a major European power: Peter the Great. Peter was a man with an unquenchable thirst for knowledge and a vision to modernize Russia. He looked towards the West for inspiration, adopting their technology, military strategies, and even their fashion. His greatest achievement, though, was the founding of St. Petersburg. This city, built on marshland, became a symbol of Russia's new Western-facing identity. Now on to Catherine the Great, a woman of charisma and ambition. Catherine was not originally Russian. She was a German princess who married into the royal family. But don't let that fool you, she was as Russian at heart as they come. During her reign, Russia expanded significantly, absorbing new territories such as Crimea and parts of Poland. But it wasn't all rosy. The empire was built on the backs of the serfs, peasants who were essentially slaves to the landowners. This was a ticking time bomb, a social issue that was largely ignored but would eventually contribute to the empire's downfall. Then came the Napoleonic Wars. Russia was a key player in these conflicts, and its role in Napoleon's defeat cemented its status as a global power. However, the wars also exposed the empire's weaknesses. The military, despite its recent modernization, was still reliant on outdated tactics, and the economy struggled under the strain of constant warfare. So there you have it, the Russian Empire, a colossal entity that stretched from Eastern Europe to North America. It was a force to be reckoned with, a symbol of power and prestige. Yet, beneath the surface, it was riddled with problems: social inequality, economic instability, and political corruption. The Russian Empire was a force to be reckoned with, yet it faced numerous internal challenges. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into these issues in the next chapter of our journey through Russian history. What happens when the people rise against the monarchy? This question set the stage for a new chapter in Russia's history. The early 20th century was a turbulent period, marked by widespread social unrest and political upheaval. The revolutions of 1905 and 1917 were pivotal moments as they signaled the end of monarchical rule and the advent of a new socio-economic order. After centuries under the Tsar's reign, the Russian people had had enough. The revolution of 1905, triggered by the Bloody Sunday massacre, was a massive wave of social and political unrest that swept through vast areas of the Russian Empire. This revolt set the stage for the even more significant revolution to come. 12 years later, in 1917, the Russian people once again rose up against the monarchy. This time, the revolution was successful. Tsar Nicholas II abdicated the throne, marking the end of the Romanov dynasty and the Tsarist autocracy that had ruled Russia for 3 centuries. In the wake of the Tsar's abdication, the Bolshevik Party, led by Vladimir Lenin, seized control. They established the world's first socialist state, paving the way for the formation of the Soviet Union in 1922. The Bolsheviks, later known as the Communists, would rule Russia for the next 7 decades. Stalin's rule, which began in the late 1920s, was characterized by rapid industrialization, political purges, and the establishment of a totalitarian state. The Great Purge of the late 1930s saw millions of people arrested, exiled, or executed on charges of counter-revolutionary activities. The Soviet Union played a significant role in World War II, resisting and eventually driving back the Nazi invasion. In the aftermath of the war, the USSR emerged as a superpower, its global influence felt in every corner of the world during the Cold War. The Soviet era was marked by rapid industrialization, global influence, and internal repression. But it was also a time of profound change and transformation, setting the stage for the Russia we know today. But what about post-Soviet Russia? How has the nation evolved since 1991? As the Soviet Union collapsed in the early 90s, Russia found itself on the brink of a new era. The first leader to take the helm in this challenging period was Boris Yeltsin. His presidency was marked by significant economic reforms as Russia transitioned from a centrally planned economy to a market economy. However, these reforms weren't without their challenges. They led to a severe economic crisis and a sharp decline in living standards for many Russians. During Yeltsin's term, Russia also grappled with internal conflict, particularly the Chechen Wars. These conflicts were rooted in the desire for independence in the Chechen Republic and have had lasting impacts on the region and the country as a whole. In the year 2000, a new figure emerged on Russia's political stage: Vladimir Putin. His ascent to power marked a turning point for the country. Under Putin's leadership, Russia experienced economic growth and a resurgence on the international stage. However, his administration has also faced criticism for its approach to democracy and human rights. Modern Russia is a complex blend of its past and its potential future. It's a country that continues to grapple with a challenging economic landscape and geopolitical tensions. But it's also a nation that has shown resilience and adaptability in the face of these challenges. In the global arena, Russia has reasserted its influence, from its role in the Syrian conflict to its stance on global issues such as climate change and cybersecurity. This reassertion has brought with it both cooperation and contention with other world powers. As we look to the future, it's clear that Russia will continue to play a significant role in shaping world history. Its journey from the fall of the Soviet Union to its current standing on the world stage is a testament to its enduring influence and resilience. Modern Russia, a blend of its glorious past and promising future, continues to shape world history.